our body's ability to modulate and sustain us on a day-to-day basis requires energy. In fact, it is the number one concern from the body perspective. So the body has 3 organ systems, plus 2 auxiliary systems that governs this. It's not 1, it's not 3, it's 5. So the first one is thyroid. The thyroid is the basic metabolic rate. It's like the idling speed of the car. Even if you're sleeping, your body is burning energy. So the thyroid is responsible for maintaining that. Number 2, you have the pancreas. Once you eat the food, which is like the gasoline for your car, the insulin kicks into action to move the sugar from the digestion of your carbohydrate into the cell, so it can go to the mitochondria for production of ATP. So we depended on this, on the insulin. So if you imagine you have a package from the post office, the package comes in is the food, which is the sugar. The insulin is really the messenger or the postal worker that brings the sugar into the cells and into the liver. And once in the liver, the excessive amount is put in the liver after it's burned off in the cells. So you have a warehouse. The warehouse is the liver. Or in the case of the car, it's like the engine of the car. You know, the gasoline goes through the gas pedal, which is the insulin, and it is delivered to the engine. And the engine is where the excessive amount is stored in the form of glycogen as well as triglyceride. So the liver controls how much reserve that you have. So we talked about the thyroid as the idling speed of the car. We talked about the insulin being like the gasoline pedal, and then we talked about the liver being like the engine. Or in the case of the warehouse, the package is the package is the sugar, and the insulin is the messenger, and the warehouse is the liver. So once you continue to fill this up, then the body will regulate. If it's too much in the liver will spill it out back into the bloodstream. If you use too much sugar because you're exercising or you're using too much in your brain power when you study or work, then the body will release more sugar from the peripheral tissues as well as from the liver and convert it back into the bloodstream, bring it back to the bloodstream to convert into sugar for your use. And if you are between meals for a long time, the body will break down fat, which is in the liver, as well as your peripheral tissues, into ketones, where it can cross the blood-brain barrier into your brain so that you can continue thinking and doing your work in the mental basis, okay? So those are the 3 main things: the thyroid, the insulin, and the liver. Now, the body is very smart. There's 2 more mechanisms. One is called cortisol, which happens when you're under stress. Now, when you eat something, as far as the body is concerned, it is a stressful event. So the brain signals the adrenal glands to release cortisol, and cortisol will lead to increase in blood sugar as well by helping the glycogen to break down. Why? It's because the body wants to make sure that you have enough energy during the meal as well as between meals, especially between meals, so that if you're lacking in sugar, the cortisol will go up, or if you're under severe stress, like you are under attack, then the cortisol will go up, the glycogen will convert into sugar so it can be sent to your brain and sent to your muscle for you to run away from danger. Lastly, there is a kind of a what we call a turbocharged button that the body has as the last fight or flight response, which is to stimulate adrenaline. So if you're under stress, or if you eat a meal that is very high in carbohydrates, for example, the body all of a sudden has a need for high sugar, or is flooded with sugar from the carbs. So therefore, the body releases adrenaline, and the adrenaline will also in turn lead to insulin regulation and lead to glycogen breakdown as well. So when the body is under stress, insulin goes up, because not only from the sugar that you were to eat. And many people, when they're under stress, the first thing they do is look for a donut. Why? It's because their body is sending a signal that they need blood sugar. But in addition, the body has an intrinsic built-in mechanism of releasing adrenaline as well as cortisol. Adrenaline from the adrenal glands as well, the center part, into the body and increase blood sugar. But this, of course, there's side effects, okay? The adrenaline will cause insomnia, heart palpitations, POTS, PVCs, ADD, increase in blood pressure, and the cortisol will lead to sugar increase, insomnia, salt craving, central obesity, for example. The body has these three organ systems: the pancreas, the thyroid, and the liver to regulate on a day-to-day basis. It also has the reserve system of cortisol to make sure that there's enough sugar in the system, and in case of emergency and acute stress, adrenaline. So the body, in its infinite wisdom, has these 5 mechanisms, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 and 5. And you have to respect the body's ability to regulate, because it's so important. Without energy, we are not alive. So it's that simple. So the body's miraculous design is perfect in its concoction, so to say. And each organ has a different set point. And so not all systems are driven all at the same time. When you only need one, then the body will just use one. The body will decide. And if you pay attention, you regulate your cortisol, regulate your adrenaline, by reducing stress, for example. You support your adrenal functions with good nutrition, such as the vitamin C's, etc. And you balance your carbohydrate intake so your insulin is not overbearing, and your liver doesn't have to work so hard and get jammed. Then you're going to be a happy camper metabolically. Your weight is going to be perfect. You're not going to have excessive amount of deposit, not only outside your organs, but also inside the organs. And your blood sugar will be perfect. Your lipid metabolism and your lipid numbers will be great. And you're a happy camper. You're going to be able to process energy. When you eat the food, you're going to be able to store it when it's necessary, and your body will automatically break it down for energy, and you don't feel any badness. And this is what happens to you when you are young. It's just that if you don't pay attention, you continue to wear down your body, and you're going to have adult onset diabetes, you're going to have fatty liver, you're going to have food coma if the insulin is overly produced, you're going to have heart palpitations, you're going to have fatigue. So all these things have central problems. The central problem is energy regulation imbalance. We call these 5 things the bioenergetic circuit within the neuroendometabolic approach to internal medicine and stress. So I just want to give you these things here so you appreciate how amazing the body is in really fine-tuning. You don't have to do anything. It's automatic. So just try not to kind of take it for granted, and do take care of it, and you'll be a happy camper. Okay?